Listen, you guys know my thoughts on Widow. She's the easiest DPS in the game. She's the most broken DPS in the game. People have a false perception of Widowmaker that she takes skill.
Same thing with Mercy. You see a straight guy playing Mercy and it'll make you think twice about their sexuality. I mean, that's how I...
You can one-shot characters instantaneously without them reacting from ranges that are uncontestable by 90% of the cast. There is zero indication of the one-shot that's coming in. And unlike Hanzo, where the player at least has the ability to react and dodge to some degree, Sonar Arrow comes up on the map. The developers have done absolutely nothing to address the most impressive one-shot in the game in any meaningful way.
Gameplay you will be seeing is me playing Mercy in gold because I don't feel like trying. Whenever I actually put effort into this game, I feel it stealing whatever sanity I have left. I tried playing Overwatch Classic and the enemy team ran a full team of, you guessed it, Widowmaker. Instantly left and queued up for comp on a gold account because anything diamond and above, I'd be sitting in an 8-minute queue time. And of course, my first game in gold, the enemy ran Widow. I regret not standing still and letting this bitch headshot me off cooldown so these fucking brain-dead devs who only balance around statistics can finally see how broken she is. Please subject this balance team to play against a Masters or GM Widow and see how long they last. Matter of fact, I'll be running for president.
And like, he's right. There's no chance that there's a single developer on the Blizzard developer team that has even played against a Widowmaker in the recent year. There's no way they've done it. Because, again, like, She is the single most oppressive character in the game, in my opinion, because you just passively get the value. Like, Widowmaker is the only hero in the game that you could be 9 and 10 or 10 and 10 and still be doing the most in the entire lobby, just because the threat of the one shot and how one kill is worth significantly more in 5v5. At least in 6v6, when a Widowmaker got a one shot across the map, there were enough people on the map that the fight could still go either way. There was enough room, right? Even though she was still oppressive back then too. In 5v5, it's just not enough. And your answer might be, well, Sam just died the Widow skill issue. Not really, because again, every single support ability and peel ability in the game got significantly stronger in Overwatch 2. BAP shift, Kiriko Suzu, healing became more accessible. Heroes now all have higher health pools and heroes did not get damage compensation. It is significantly easier to peel a target in this game. And there's no way to stop break packs getting triple bursted onto the Widow when you dive her. And she can one-shot you the entire time that you're crossing. So, believe it or not, double sniper comps actually have a big advantage against dive comps on a lot of these maps. And I say that as, guess what, before anybody says skill issue, I say that as somebody who is one of the best double sniper comp players in North America. At its peak, double sniper meta, I was one of the best Hanzos in the world. Right? And so anytime a team would go dive into double sniper, our joke internally was that we just won the game. Because I'm going to get a kill or two every single fight. And my Widow is going to get, like, me or my Widow will get a couple entry kills every fight. Against a team of equal skill level. Actually, a team even a little bit better than us. So, double sniper actually has an advantage against dive comps in a lot of situations to where they can instantaneously get the kill to win the fight. It's much harder to play dive into snipers than it is to play snipers into dive. Especially now that, you know, peel abilities have gotten significantly better in the game for a hero like Widowmaker. It's actually not as easy as it used to be with all the supports burst healing.
2028, and the first thing I'm gonna do is subject criminals who do the most heinous crimes to not the death penalty, but something worse, and that's playing against Widow all day, every day for the rest of their life. A punishment more severe than death itself. Now, really, the only way to counter this hero is by mirroring, and it's probably the only hero in the game who's like that. And I know a lot of you brain dead fucks are gonna be like, oh, just go dive. Yeah, just wait till the end of the video and then type your stupid ass comment. I have about 13 hours on this hero because I actually like women. Listen, not that there's anything wrong with liking cocks in your mouth. You do you. But all I'm gonna say is there's a reason a lot of girls like playing Widow. Same thing with Mercy. You see a straight guy playing Mercy and it'll make you think twice about their sexuality. I mean, that's how I feel about straight men playing Widow. But Raider, that's such a homophobic thing to say. I am homophobic. Now what?
Oh,
kidding.
God.
But look at this game where we are struggling because our tank can't survive. She's constantly getting demeched. Oh, but fear not. We are on a map that gives me free positioning. Don't have a team? Don't worry about it. Just go Widow and click heads on the most poorly designed fucking map that automatically gives you the win if you pick this fucking hero. Bada bing, bada boom, fucking busting kneecaps like I'm from New York and my last name is DeVito. No team, no problem. You can solo carry games by picking the schmuck of a hero and handing out Louisville sluggers. I apologize to you Sombra players because at one point I hated Sombra players so much I was contemplating voting for Trump. Like, get that Abuelita's chocolate bitch out of here. We speak English around these parts. But now I'd get on my knees begging and pleading to bring back permanent invis because anything is better than Widow being meta. I feel like
I tried to tell you. I tried to tell you all. I tried to warn you. I tried. Listen, I'm okay with perma-stealth being gone. I am. But I told you all that the second they get rid of perma-stealth, Widow is going to run fucking rampant. Rampant. When, like, she is the most overpowered, unfun hero to play against in the entire game. Like, it's incredible how Widows received net buffs over time. Net buffs in Season 9 from the regen passive. Net buffs over and over again, where again, we know that one-shots were too good, and yet the hero with the most oppressive one-shot in the entire game does not get touched. I'm going to talk a little bit about why. I'm going to let him get his points across. But again, really quick, and I'll mention this now. Widowmaker does not have a single thing on her kit that's meant to neutralize snipers in FPS games. She's hit scan instantaneous. She has no scope sway, so she doesn't have to hold her breath. She's got no laser to indicate her line of sight or where she's looking. She's got hypermobility. Like snipers in other games like Call of Duty and all these other games are the least mobile kits in the game. You have very low movement speed, very high scope in time, bad fire rate, and limited mobility with no close quarters options. Widow has her SMG, her grapple, which is the best escapability of any sniper in the game. It gets her clean out of a dive. She can grapple clean out of the fight to a range where she's uncontestable by the entire cast, can one-shot you instantaneously with zero indication of where she is. One of the smaller hitboxes in the game. The list goes on. None of the things that balance snipers in shooter games are on Widow's kit. Not one. There's not one. So, you know, there are ways to keep Widow's identity without destroying her kit. One of the easiest things to do is give her a glint. And honestly, like, I'm going to say it. If Widowmaker is going to have the lethality from the range she has right now, she should not have grapple. She should not have grapple. If you're a sniper that can one-shot from that range, you have to actually commit to your position. You have to commit to your position. You cannot grapple out of a dive for free. You can't do it, especially with all the immortalities and get-out-of-jail-free cards in the support role nowadays. You can't do it. It's broken.
Like I'm playing COD MW19. There was a rat around every corner, people camping and mounting on windows, made it impossible to rush anything. That's how I feel playing Overwatch 2 now. Enemy picks Widow, time to play fucking peekaboo, time to play hide behind a wall simulator. Now, other than mirroring a Widow or having a Widow of your own that can contest theirs, really the only other counter to Widow is having a full coordinated dive team. Yes, you have to have the fucking Avengers, you have to have SEAL Team 6 coordinated, 3, 2, 1 this bitch. Listen, I rarely cry about heroes being meta or other heroes being meta because, you know, they have counters to them, right? For example, D.Va being meta, you can go Zarya, you can go Double Beam, you can go Brig. But the problem arises when a character is meta that has zero counters besides mirroring or having a full coordinated dive. And listen, if you think I'm biased or crying because, you know, I have a reputation of hating Widow, bro, I've always hated Widow. I've made a Widow rant video like 2 years ago. However, I never made one since because even though she's, you know, fucking annoying to play against, you had Sombra to counter her. Again, I'm fine with characters being meta as long as they have counters. Widow doesn't have a counter anymore because they fucking buried Sombra. And her critical rate, her headshot rate in GM is like 30%. That 30 means
35.
1 out of every 3 shots the Widow takes, one of my teammates is getting their fucking head blown off. But if you're not gonna nerf her directly, the best way to...
It's not 1 out of 3 shots every hero takes. How critical accuracy works, it's the percentage of shots that you hit. So of the shots that Widowmakers hit, which is generally about 60%, 30% to 35% of those are critical. So really, like, realistically, that number is somebody who's better at math than me can answer this. It's probably around like 20% ballpark, I believe. About 20% ballpark of the shots that Widowmaker shoots is a critical hit, either one-shotting somebody or headshotting a tank. Which, by the way, Widowmaker, while having better accuracy, being easier to aim on with more range, does more damage in the head than Hanzo. Hanzo headshot does 250 damage. Widowmaker does 300. So she has the most lethality, the best accuracy, the most damage, the best mobility option. How has this hero not been changed? I've said this for years. It's crazy. When you actually break down the numbers and look at how much better Widowmaker is than the other snipers, it blows your mind. But people have this false conception in their head that she somehow takes more skill than a hero like Hanzo. But if that's the case, why does she unanimously have way better accuracy stats, way better scope critical rate stats, with better damage? And if you go look at the leaderboard, look, I'll pull this up right now. Look at top 500 leaderboard. Look at this shit. Oh, wow. All Widow, Tracer, Genji. Holy shit. Like, count the amount of Widows that you see, guys, compared to Hanzo. Like, look at how much fucking Widow's getting played. Look at this. She should be a niche hero. Oh, there's me. Rank 103 on Sombra. I'm the only Sombra player, by the way, in that rank. It's just me. Genji's pretty good right now, too. Look at this. There's no Hanzo at all. It's all like Genji, Widow, Tracer, Ashe. A little bit of Echo. She kind of got killed, though. Like, you haven't seen a single Hanzo. How the fuck did we destroy Hanzo, who still is not as good as he was, even though he's terrible? Hanzo was the most overrated character in Overwatch 2. Everyone thought he was so broken. I was like, dude, he's bad. He's not good. He's getting played in Ram Brawl. And by the way, they still have not fixed Dragon Strike. They made it faster. That actually makes it worse against tanks, which is how it was good before. It was great at splitting tanks. So, like, they got all of the projectile combo one-shot characters, but they don't touch Widowmaker, who has been better the entire fucking time. Blasphemous. Actually blasphemous. Big Sag.
Nerf a hero like that, because obviously you have to have a sniper in the game, and obviously you can't take away her one shot. You know, be fair, as much as I fucking hate it, you have to have a character like Widow, because a lot of players like playing snipers. Now, why would you want to play a slow-paced hero that sits in the back of the map in a fast-paced FPS shooter? I don't understand, and I'll never understand it. Again, I do not like cocks in my mouth, so I don't understand you Widow players. But, you know, to each their own. You gotta be fair. You can't take away her one shot. However, you can indirectly nerf her by buffing her counters. There is no reason not to buff Genji. Widow is in a broken state right now. Why not buff the character that's meant to counter her?
It won't matter. It won't matter. She's still too good in rank. Like, Genji individually won't be good enough to close the distance to Widow. The reality is you have to address a part of Widow's kit. I think the easiest thing you can do is severely nerf her mobility. Give me one reason why Widow should do more damage, have better accuracy, hit scan, no sway, no glint, SMG options, the Venom Mine option too to mark an area. Give me one reason why Widow's grapple should give her the mobility that it does in this era of Overwatch. When Hanzo has a little bitch leap. When they took away Hanzo's ability to pre-charge arrows and wall climb. Why does a sniper have more mobility than Soldier 76? Why does a sniper have more mobility than Soldier 76? Remove her mobility. Remove it. Like, you need to actually severely nerf grapple and give her a glazer. You keep her identity as a sniper, but when you actually are honest with yourself and you break it down, why does a sniper with the most lethal ability and gun in the game have better mobility options when she already has the best range of any DPS in the game? You just wanted to buff Hanzo too when Widow is so strong, right? Buffing Hanzo doesn't solve this. Buffing Hanzo doesn't solve this. Like, Widow is just OP as fuck. And I think the easiest thing you could do is make her commit to a position by nerfing the fuck out of grapple. Or removing grapple altogether. She just shouldn't have that ability. She's way too good.
But no, we buffed Moira to put an exclamation mark on the fuck you to this hero. I can't even remember the last time Genji got balanced. The last thing I fucking remember is when they gave him more ammo, which was an accident, by the way.
They need to fix Blade.
Accidentally left the ammo buff in the patch and said, ah, fuck it, might as well keep it. You know what that feels like? It feels like working a cash register and someone comes to the counter with a bag of chips that cost $5 and they give you $5 and a penny and say, keep the change. Like, no, fuck you, bitch. Fuck your penny. Fuck your pity buffs. I'd much rather suffer and feed into my masochist needs than take your fucking pity buff. It's just a slap to the face. Yeah, we didn't really mean to buff the worst DPS character in the game, but we just left it there because we're fucking lazy fucks. And now that Widow is completely broken with one of her biggest counters getting gutted, which is Sombra, it's a perfect opportunity to indirectly nerf her. But nah, let's not do that. Let's keep conforming and balancing around statistics.
You gotta buff her. Or you gotta
Widow
nerf her.
performs badly in low ranks, so therefore she's balanced. Yeah, newsflash to these brain dead fucking devs. Everyone in low ranks are actually mouth breathing paraplegics. How about we balance around players who actually have their monitors on? Speaking of low ranks, I already know what's coming in the comments. Widow isn't broken, just go dive. So let's look at all her counters and go through each one, and rather than
by the way, like, it's very clear at this point, indirectly nerfing Widow doesn't stop the problem. She needs some fundamental changes to her kit. Again, I think the easiest way to do it is to really nerf her mobility so she can't get out of jail for free when support cooldowns are as strong as they are, and giving her a laser that shows where she's scoped in and looking. There needs to be, especially if it's instantaneous hit scan, there needs to be some indication of where she is looking. There has to be. Has to be.
Such a brain-dead comment. I want you to try to counter these points. So let's look at dive tanks. Dive tanks are immediately out of the question because everybody counter picks the tanks. Yes, on paper, a dive tank does counter Widow, but take into account the other 4 players on her team that will swap to counter you. You want to go monkey? The enemy team is going to go diva and shove her mech in your fucking mussy anytime you want to dive the Widow. Want to go ball or doom? The enemy can go hog, or their supports can go brig and make you absolutely useless. I know they don't do this around your ranks, but this is pretty common around masters and above, so that immediately counters any dive tank. Now let's look at DPS. We got Sombra, the character that got gutted. We got Tracer, a character with such a high skill floor. We got Genji, the worst DPS character in the game that gets
Genji's actually pretty good right now, but he's only good because he fits into the meta well. Individually, which is what most of ranked is nowadays, he's not great. Individually, like, he's hard to play. And here's the thing too. It is significantly harder to play Genji into a Widow than it is to play Widow into any comp. Like, people have to accept this. Widowmaker is not a hard hero to play anymore. She's not. She's not.
Shut down just by looking at him. I'm pretty sure Iadi's headshot or Kiriko's headshot damage do more than a swing by Genji's Dragon Blade. And if it's not more, it's definitely close, which is just fucking sad to even think about. Then you got supports. Everybody and their mother is gonna say Lucio. I already know. I see Frogger kill Widows all the time, so you have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, Frogger plays in the top 1% of Overwatch players who can play around missing one support. Try this in mid GM and below, and your team will be dying left and right, dropping like flies because they're not.
Well, also, it's like, okay, Frogger's gonna upload highlights of him getting it done. What you don't see in those videos is how many times did he feed going for something. Now, he's a good player, which is why he can pull it off, but like, it's not a consistent way to actually deal with it. It's just not. It's just not. And your team has to suffer immensely just from the pick because your support's chasing down a Widow across the map. It's not an ideal way to play.
Competent enough to not take damage or play around missing one support while you're trying to read it in the Widow's backline. And one counter for all of these heroes is that you have to close the gap from you to the Widow that's sitting in fucking St. Louis. Sometimes she's so far away that you have to use 6 blinks on Tracer to even set up, and by the time you get there, all your teammates are cosplaying as JFK. Not to fucking mention, she has 4 other teammates that aren't just gonna let you close the gap so easily. You think the 4 other teammates are just gonna let you walk up to the Widowmaker that's sitting in Minnetonka? No, it's just like these people who say just go dive. They fail to account like the distance the bitch sits in.
And like listen, anybody who says just go dive versus snipers are bad players. Like they're just bad players. Like, I'm telling you guys, like, whenever a team would try to swap dive against our double sniper in my prime, we just start laughing. We actually, like, listen, I remember this. We were playing Gladiators Legion in Contenders, And they had Water, who was like the best Genji like at the time. So good. Playing Volskaya Industries, right? They all swapped to dive at the 3.5 minute mark. And I just started laughing on the mic with my team. And I said, we just won the game. We just won. They didn't cap first point. Because I knew that we were going to fucking dumpster them, because there's no way that their dive is better than my double sniper. No fucking way. And I wasn't even the Widow player. I was the Hanzo player. So, you know, it's hilarious. Like the same thing against Boostio. When like we played his team one time and they swapped dive against us in OD. And we just started laughing because we were like, we just won the game. Because it's so much like what people don't understand is when you have half decent snipers, they have an enormous advantage against dive comp, because at any moment, we can instantly get a kill. And when one person dies, just one, the fight is basically won for the snipers. So anybody who says, "Oh, just don't peek her, just go dive," I'll just be honest, they're terrible players. You all you don't understand a fucking thing about the game if you think the answer is as simple as just go dive. What you're basically saying is just go into this uphill battle where they can instantaneously one-shot you, where in Overwatch 2, all of the support abilities are significantly better. The health pools are higher, support abilities are stronger, like Immortality Field leaves the target at a higher health threshold, BAP Shift, Burst, Pylon could be up somewhere, you have to break that first, Kiriko, TP, and Suzu, regardless of a positioning across the map instantaneously, like Brig Packs, Triple Pack, instantly burst heal. The reality is, playing dive, because supports were falling over in 5v5, is significantly harder to play into snipers in Overwatch 2 than it was in 1. And to top that off, the one-shot value and the spacing that's open on the map for snipers to get their one-shots got significantly easier as well. And then when you get that one-shot, it's worth more. So, unfortunately, to all you bots, and I have to say bots because unfortunately that's just the truth because you haven't bothered looking at any of this stuff for what it actually is, say, just go dive, skill issue. It's actually not a skill issue. The developers, not intentionally, or maybe it is intentionally, I think this is a side effect that nobody really saw coming, like, 'cause you can't really know, right? Unfortunately, have indirectly buffed Widow tremendously in 5v5. I think Widowmaker was the biggest winner in 5v5. Easily. Easily. She got access to more space. She didn't lose her one-shot threat, while a lot of other heroes got nerfed continuously, and somehow, some way, the devs didn't touch her, right? And by the way, Sombra's not terrible right now. After they changed her, everybody's saying Sombra's gutted. She's not terrible, but like her play style is different, and she can't mark a Widow anymore. You can't consistently mark a Widow like you could before. So, like, she's decent into a lot of these other matchups, but, like, she's not a Widowmaker marker, which means that there's not a single counter to Widowmaker in the game. Not one. Except for matching Widow. And that's the problem. So, yeah, anybody who says just go dive, just go ahead and cite to them how every support ability is way better, how the teams always peel, how a lot of heroes did not get damage compensations for the new health pools. It is significantly harder to play dive into snipers than it is to play snipers into dive, and I say that as one of the best double sniper comp players in North America to play. We ran double sniper into prime GOATS meta, and we did better than any other team did running that comp in that era. So we were dumb, like, there were, well, I won't say that, but we'll go ahead.
There is maps where she's so fucking far away.
And if you doubt me, go ask Spylo what I did to his teams on Hanzo. Love Spylo. Shout out Spylo. Go ask Spylo what we did on Double Sniper to his teams. Go ask him. It was dirty. Dirty.
So many cooldowns just to even get to her, and then you take into account that she's gonna get healed, she's gonna get peeled, and she has a grappling hook that she can just run away on after you get to her, bro. It's oh my god, I'm literally mauling just thinking about it. I haven't played this game in 2 weeks and I'm already mauling. So the only things that objectively counter Widow is mirroring the Widow or running a full coordinated dive SEAL Team 6 style. Number one, mirroring Widow. Not all of us like.
And by the way, there's a lot of times where running dive is just not a good play. It's just not. You can't do it. It's not a good play.
Our ass, so we don't play the character and will get outclassed by the scrawny femboys that put 1,000 hours on Widow. And 2, asking for coordination in a ranked match, asking teammates to swap, forget about.
Listen, with how ban how trigger happy Blizzard is with chat bans. Nobody's in voice anymore. Half the games don't have people in voice chat because everyone's getting banned on cooldown. For tilting at things like Widow, they'll get reported and banned. So how do you expect players to communicate and run a dive when your systems have actively forced half the community out of voice chat from chat bans? Like, in every single game, there's always half the team that's just not in voice chat. It's rare to see a game with everyone in voice chat. So don't tell me that coordination is viable, because their systems actively punish people for trying to communicate.
They're gonna just play whatever characters they want and will just blame the DPS or tank when they lose the game. It is the most frustrating fucking experience. But don't worry, they're gonna buff Kiri, they're gonna buff Malga, they're gonna keep buffing Ashe. It's like there's just certain heroes where if they're not meta, the next patch they'll get compensation buffs or they'll get buffed. And then you have characters who are just left in the dust like Genji, who never get changed despite them being so fucking dog shit.
They actually should change Genji. He's not bad right now, but every time that Genji has been good, it's been because he fits into the meta, not because he's individually strong. Every time Genji's been good, he's fit into what is good. And that's an important distinction to make. It's crazy to me that they have not made Dragon Blade more lethal yet.
Because the balance team just balances around statistics, even though I can't even imagine Genji doing good in low ranks because Moira is constantly picked. Sell those mythic skins, I guess, you know, make that money, Blizzard. Anyways, that has been today's video. I know uploads have been slow, but I'm here to announce that I will be uploading weekly on this channel now. I'm gonna be abandoning my second channel. Basically, to summarize, I didn't expect my second channel to do amazing. You know, every video on my second channel gets around 20,000 views, and in 5 videos it had about 10,000 subscribers. I didn't expect it to do that well, so now it feels kind of like a waste, because the main reason I didn't want to upload those videos on my main channel is because I didn't think you guys wanted to see them. But now that I'm seeing that you guys actually do want to see them and they're doing well on my second channel, it's like, why don't you just upload it on your main channel so it'll get more views? So I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, what was the point of the second channel? You could kind of see it as an experiment. Starting from this week, I will be uploading weekly. Hell, I might even upload 2 videos a week. I'm just gonna stop overthinking shit and upload content. The toxic videos might be really rare. You know, I might upload those like once every 2 months in my head. So I hope you guys look forward to that. I love you guys so much. Have a good rest of your day / night, and peace.
Oh, shit.
Oreo.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that was on the money. I mean, listen, Widow is the most overpowered, poorly designed DPS in the game right now. She was the biggest winner in 5v5, and she's not been addressed. Again, you cannot have the lethality that character has with the mobility that character has as well. You can't do it. It's OP as fuck. She should have to commit to a position if she's going to snipe, just like every single sniper in any FPS game to ever exist. Right? So it's crazy to me that you destroy Hanzo. Destroy him. Literally remove him from the game is what they did. Now, and they've since walked it back, but how the hell are you going to do that to Hanzo, who actually has fair counterplay, but not address Widowmaker at all? How? And to be fair, like, I think the balance team, I want to say they've been doing a better job, right? But the super tanks and doubling down on super tanks has been so bad. Unfortunately, I can't really give them credit. Like, the patches recently haven't been astronomical, but it's like you take a dump on the floor and like there's trash everywhere on the house, and then you take a massive dump on the floor to finish off the job. And then you're like, all right, well, I'm going to clean up the trash in the house, but you leave the giant stack of shit in the middle of the floor. That's kind of like what the balance team has done post Season 9, when they realized 5v5 was unbalanceable. We'll see. I think, look, Overwatch is in a vulnerable spot still, and they've been doing a better job with communication. Like, the classic events have been great. The classic events really ripped the wool off people's eyes about the stuff that I've been saying, and they're like, huh, wait a minute. I'm not averaging 1,000 damage per limb. I have like 3 to 5k damage, and I have like 15, 20 something limbs. What happened to this game? What happened to it? And the answer is you're stuck shooting a super tank all fucking game that you will never, ever kill. Ironically, and it's so funny how this has come full circle, and I don't mean this in a way to flame them. I mean this in a way that it proves my point. That they never understood Overwatch 1. Team 4 never understood the game. What made Overwatch 1 unfun and unplayable? Double shield comp. What was double shield comp? Essentially, they made tanks super tanks because of how much, and they made BAP and Brig superheroes, right? BAP, Brig, Orisa, and Sigma were, by design, significantly stronger heroes that could do way more than the rest of the original cast, right? They essentially were superheroes, better than the originals by a long shot. Wasn't even close. They were way better. So essentially, the idea of a superhero or a super tank is what ruined Overwatch 1. And what was Blizzard's answer to that? Let's make every hero in the game a super tank. And then what'd they do in Season 10? Let's triple down on this and make these heroes even more super, because that will solve the problem. And it just goes to show you their game design team doesn't get it. Like, it's funny when you look back at it in hindsight and realize that's what it was. And if you don't believe me, go play Classic. It feels so much better. What was so good about it? Every role, and I've said this, when Overwatch 1 was at its peak, October of 2020, every hero was relative to each other. Every hero, no matter what you were playing, could playmake on each other. And it made the game feel great. That's why it felt so good. I've said this for years. And yet, their design has continued to go away from that year after year, to where we're now a little over 2 years into Overwatch 2, and that gap has never been wider than it is right now. Unfortunately, it goes to show you that they have not learned their lesson. They have not learned their lesson on this yet, which is crazy to say. And I'm worried, and I'll be honest, guys, it's too late. Marvel Rivals is coming out in 2 weeks, and they've made an amazing game. Unfortunately for Overwatch, they fumbled around for too long, and they're going to lose a significant chunk of their players, which is good for the community. And I'm not saying that in a way where I'm trying to flame the devs, by the way. I want to make it clear that's not what I'm saying here at all. That's not the point I'm trying to make. I'm just going to lay out reality. I'm going to go play Marvel. A lot of other people are going to play Marvel. And you know what's so good about Marvel? Everybody feels relative. Like, the tanks are still clearly tanks, but a tank can kill a DPS and a DPS can kill a tank. That's what makes the game so good. And anybody who says, well, why should a DPS be able to kill a tank? Because the game sucks donkey balls when people can't make plays on each other. Everybody should be able to play make against each other. Everybody should be able to make something happen, right? It's the way that they do it that makes the experiences different and unique, that attracts a wide subset of players. And Overwatch 1 captured this perfectly. That's why it won Game of the Year. But ever since Brigida and Goats meta, unfortunately, most of the time, Blizzard has missed that mark and not understood that very, very simple point. It's not complicated. And, you know, it's going back to 5v5 and playing against the super tank. Like, super tanks were the worst idea I think Overwatch has ever had as a net. Overwatch 1's problems were generally came down to one or two specific bad designs. It wasn't net across an entire role. But in Overwatch 2, because that team clearly did not ever understand their game, original Team 4 did not understand the multiplayer they made, which is why they abandoned it to try to make a PvE game, which is what they wanted to make the whole time. This is the situation you end up in, where you're stuck in 5v5 with super tanks. You're stuck here. Unfortunately, it's pretty clear that Overwatch as a franchise will never be peak again until they go back to 6v6, or they create a format where superheroes can't exist. 5v5 could be a lot better. It could be way better if support abilities weren't as strong as they were and tanks weren't as super as they were. But if you were to do that, then those rules feel like shit in 5v5 to play, because you're solo tanking into DPS that have really good time to kills against the tank, so it doesn't work. And now you're stuck in the 5v5 conundrum. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. So yeah, it's unfortunate that we're at the place that we are. They've been doing a better job recently, but like, let's be real here. Everybody sees the writing on the wall. It's too late. It's very sad. They've had years to figure this out. They've had years to figure it out. Clearly, it hasn't worked. And you know, I think like when this, like, let me rephrase. They can do it. They're just way behind. And I think maybe Alec has been, and to give them credit, like, I think they're starting to get it, where it's like, hey, wait a minute, this actually feels really good. But man, we've been saying this for 4 years, 5 years. Listen, you can go pull my VODs up of Brigitte literally explaining this exact issue to a T 6 years ago. And they just didn't care. So Overwatch is unfortunately going to become a skin simulator and a Rule 34 simulator. That's going to be what makes it money. And so that's going to be what they lean into for their business. And that's okay. But a game that was once known for its great gameplay is going to be known for the beauty of the characters, the game engine itself, and Rule 34. That's Overwatch's future as of right now. Until they actually show the willingness to not make these tanks super tanks and to actually walk this stuff back, it will take a backseat to Marvel, in my opinion. Which is crazy to say. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But both Marvel and Deadlock are going to take a big chunk of this player base until they get rid of the superheroes. Super characters are shit for this genre. Shit. Rule 34 simulator is wild. I mean, they're embracing it. I mean, they're tweeting about Kiriko's grippers and, like, actually just posting her feet on the main account. Like, it's no secret. Like, Overwatch has kind of become, like, the VTube, like, softcore porn community. I'm not, by the way, that's not me saying that VTubers are softcore porn, by the way. But there definitely are some that have some big anime knockers. I know you guys have seen it. Actually, maybe I don't need to beat around the bush on that one. No hate towards VTubers, by the way. You do you. All good. But, you know, when there's an elephant in the room, I'm going to call it an elephant, you know, because that's just what the Overwatch community has become. Original Overwatch wasn't like this. Most of those players went to, like, Valorant and stuff. But yeah, shout out VTubers. That's not a hate comment towards VTubers at all. It's just kind of like what it is. Like Genshin, VTube, you know, guys who use :3, you know, that's just what it is now. And, you know, I think that's a very, very small part of what its potential is as a game. But yeah, so interesting video is what it is. Really excited for Marvel, though. Really excited for Marvel. Can't wait to play it. Okay, cool.